Take my hand, I will walk with you. I won't let go till you say so.
Wel- Welcome to another Crodie Files bonus episode. And today we're going to be speaking to Becky Kaapuni.
Hi, Becky. I'm so excited that we finally got you on the podcast. Everyone, I'd like to introduce to you Becky Kaapuni, the Senior EA to the CEO at Salesforce AI, based in California, USA, and recent founder of EA Social Club. Becky has over 20 years of experience, just like us, as an executive assistant and has supported leaders at prominent companies. Correct me if I'm wrong now, because I have done my research, but like Salesforce currently, Twitter, and Goldman
Correct.
Sachs.
Wow.
Correct.
Excellent. Like us, Becky uses her voice to advocate on behalf of the admin profession globally and focuses on building the admin community through the EA Social Club, which we love. And I have actually hosted a dinner for you in London, which
right.
was amazing. So thank you for joining us and thank you for all that you do already.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's really exciting. I know we've been planning on doing something for a while, so I'm really excited to be here.
Definitely. So, as you know, the Crodie Files collects loads of listener questions through the Hi Crodie initiative. And if you don't know, just look on our social media, namely LinkedIn. That's where we live the most. You would think
Me too.
we live there the most. Yeah, that's where everyone is, right? So that's where our audience hangs out. We have the Hi Crodie initiative is where you send us your bugbears, your burning questions, your thoughts, your ideas that you want us to discuss on the podcast. And we match those questions with expert contributors and their area of expertise. And on our bonus episodes, we discuss them entirely. So this bonus episode will be us discussing one of your questions with the help of Becky Kaapuni. So without further ado, I'm going to read out our listener question, and then we're going to have a bit of a brainstorming session where we can come up with the best answer. Hi, Crodie. The pace at which our role is moving is too fast for me to keep up and get on with my day job. Any tips for navigating this, specifically technology? What do I need to know as a bare minimum right now? Any thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, this is something that I have felt a lot in the past. And I still sometimes to this day feel this. I think that, going from being an EA who worked a more normal 9 to 5 and then transferring into a job where it's so high demand, which literally is what tech is, then, it's really hard to kind of figure out how to pace that. And personally, on a very, very general level, I use tricks within Slack and email. And then, of course, there's using AI. So, what are your thoughts around it, and where would you like to start discussing it?
Craig?
Well, how do you prioritize? Because I know it's very difficult and you're fast paced. How do you prioritize what you use? What software do you use? I mean, I, for myself, use OneNote, and that's easier for me because I know which client detail and just click on the pages. But can you elaborate more on what you use?
Yeah, well, a lot of people use different things, right? So through the EA Social Club, we use Airtable, for example. But when being at Salesforce, we do not have the authority to use a lot of these programs. So a lot of what we do is, it happens through ourselves. So I set, reminders in my calendar. I will set reminders in my email, and I snooze things a lot so that if I need to follow up on an email, it just pops right back up. In Slack, I will set things to later. I will set a reminder there as well. I am so busy that I do not have the bandwidth to take an extra step. So an extra step being to input into a document, to take the information in front of me and transfer it somewhere else to keep track of it. That is just taking precious time from me that I don't have. So I really utilize what is at my fingertips most readily. And snoozing is something that I've been doing for years, ever since the feature came out. And it just reminds me when I need to follow up on something so that I don't need to constantly be thinking about it, put it on a sheet, and if I do have difficulties with snoozing or there's something really, really, really high level that I need to like really make sure I'm on top of, then I will add a reminder to my calendar to like just keep it fresh and keep it moving and keep it at the forefront of my mind.
That's a really good point, actually. I think the overwhelm initially will come with the amount of information we're seeing, the amount of content we're reading online, the amount of courses, webinars, seminars, summits, conferences, exhibitions that are
So much.
all ram jam packed, aren't they? With, this platform, mine's the best. This one does that. This is AI. This is, this is deep learning. You need to learn about this. I think when you get to that point, and first and foremost, you can do it all because you are an executive assistant and this is what we're made of. You can do it all. It's just figuring out the pace in which you do it all. And that's what makes us super to begin with, is somehow we do it all, we manage, we get through it, and still produce amazing results with what we're doing. So that would be my first observation with this high Crodie question. You just need to, I hate saying prioritize because it's such a buzzword at the moment, and it just almost, do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Almost makes you feel like you're doing something wrong. If you need to learn more how to prioritize things, it makes you feel like, well, what haven't I prioritized? I don't know how you feel
Well,
about that word.
I think that, leaning in and being curious is something. So, for example, AI, okay, that would be my next step. For somebody who is having a lot of trouble with their workload, trying to figure out what they can utilize to help streamline, the one area where I think everybody should dig in is on AI. And a very, very easy way to do that is to either use Claude or ChatGPT and just start using it on a daily basis. So, an example of where I started with AI was that my boss has to listen to tons of podcasts every single week. I mean, she does not have the time. So, I take the transcripts, I throw them into Claude, I put in a prompt that basically says, summarize this for a high level AI expert. And then it throws out a summary and it tells her the key things that she needs to know. And then if she wants to dig further, she will ask me to put in other prompts, or she'll ask me to send a transcript over to her. And so by me having to involve myself in AI in that way, it made it easier for me to start playing with it, asking it questions. There will be like a letter that an email I have to put together, and I'll just throw it in Claude and see what Claude comes up with. And a lot of times I'm like, okay, that works. I just need to change things around. And so it's streamlining these processes, which are a huge advantage. And so if somebody were to probably prioritize anything at this point, I would learn how to use AI to supercharge your work
100%.
because that is what it is there
And
for.
not just
Yeah.
AI. I mean, again, well, AI would be the next question I expect from this listener. But utilizing what you do have access to in the workplace and out of the workplace, I would separate the two. And Craig says it perfectly in one of our episodes that if you don't have the permissions to use and install and utilize certain AI at the moment in your workplace, there's no reason why you can't do it at home,
Yes.
which is what Craig loves doing. He
Yes.
loves using software for the sake of using software, I think. He loves a bit of software. But so, Craig, how do you find time then? I mean, you're just as busy. So how do you
But first of
prioritize
all,
learning?
I would need to understand my role thoroughly, because once you understand your role and know what you do, and I was at the role for 7 years, by that time you know what you need to do and how to do it. I've noticed a lot of people in the office have got pages and pages of to-do lists, and they're always crossing out and creating a new quote. And this is what you were saying earlier. That is another step, isn't it? We need to get rid of that step. So, but for me, because we have
Yeah.
loads of clients that we work with, I have the OneNotes where I just pop in the clients and all the details, all the EAs that I have contact details, what they like, can they use Zoom, can they use So what I do is click one button and all my details there. And when the client comes back again, I have that same one there, click on there, I know exactly what they want. So all that, all the details that they want to, how for me to work, that is already there. So I think that is the first step you need to understand. Know your work, your company, how they work, clear. I have a clear idea of that. And I think that's how they get so overwhelmed and the fast pace is because they're still trying to work out what are their job is about and what are the bosses do and how. And I think that's where I would find a lot of people would need to focus on. And then what technology you can use within your company. Like a lot of people can't use AI or unless they're being sort of, it's a third party. I remember using Grammarly and they said, unfortunately, you have to uninstall it because Grammarly. I know.
On now.
I know.
Yes.
Same thing.
That was
Boo-hoo.
great. I love that.
Love
I love
Grammarly.
that. So that's how I would.
But you can keep it. You can keep it on
Personal,
your,
yes.
your own personal account and, as a free account. But yeah, I think the message there that I'm hearing is you don't need to start yet another process to move forward. Maybe you
Right.
could come back and be a super user of the programs and software that you already have access and permission to within your workplace. Fine. You will be finding that your companies will be making and even rolling out their own AI use policies if they haven't already. For me, I have full use of Copilot in the Microsoft suite, which is absolutely amazing. It has really streamlined my working, specifically for note taking. It summarizes meetings and action points so well, better than I can actually write.
Interesting.
Yeah, because I would focus unconsciously biasing on my focus on, say, one particular area of that meeting, and then without realizing, not picking up on another area which has been captured by Copilot. So run a test. See, do your way, the way you've always been doing it, your tried and tested method, and then test it alongside some new software to see how much time you have saved yourself and the company. Ultimately, if the learning and development that you invest your time and possibly money into, doesn't always have to come at a cost, can return and speak the language of the business in terms of time and money saved, you will get buy-in to use it. And if there is no buy-in to use it, you can still use it personally, learn at your own pace, and just be ready for that next role that may come down the road where they are fully invested in the use of AI and specific software platforms.
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel about the future of our role and at least knowing about these key platforms and technologies so you can have further conversations with future employers.
Yeah, there are a few things to note off of what you said. Yes, you can always use AI personally. You just need to be careful what data you upload into it. That is why we are not allowed to use outside AI at a lot of companies because they collect the data and then that is a breach essentially. So, the trust that is at a company is very important among its customers. So just be very careful about what you're using in there. But you can absolutely use it on your own. And I would definitely try and utilize the programs that you have at your disposal, the things that you can use already within your workplace, and really getting clear about that. And embracing AI is going to be so important because it's not going to take over our jobs. I 100% believe that it is not going to replace us. But I also 100% believe that if you don't start utilizing AI, you will be left behind.
Mhm.
And so it is so vital to start integrating it into our workday and making it your assistant. And there are programs out there like Ambient and Circleback, and you can have them join your meeting. They can take notes for you and give you line by line transcripts as well as roll up actionable points. There's also hardware now called Plod, which is absolutely amazing. And it can record your phone calls and it can record your meetings and it can spit everything out to you and you don't
Sure.
have to take notes. Like you essentially do not have to bring that piece in. So if you no longer have to take notes at your meeting, then that opens up time for you to really do something else constructive during that meeting. So it's so important to lean into AI, to lean into these possibilities. But, it's difficult when there's so much information coming at you. So a good place to start for AI would be Fiona Young
Mhm.
or Jessica McBride.
Excellent.
They have classes that you can join. They have cohorts that you can be a part of. Challenges. Fiona Young right now is doing a July challenge. And every day it's just using AI in just a little bit of a way. So joining these things and just embracing it and being curious is really what is going to set you apart in the future.
Absolutely. They're two great contributors. Jessica McBride, Fiona Young, she's going to be featured on one of our episodes very soon. We know her very well.
Love-
Absolutely amazing.
Me too.
Yeah. I love her. I love it. So I love how it's all kind of broken down. It's palatable and it's relevant. That's the main thing.
Yeah, she was actually she was the first guest that I had
Oh,
at an
wow.
EA Social Club event
Oh,
Right.
cool.
in San Francisco.
Oh,
So
what was she doing there? She goes all over the place.
yeah, she was just in the city visiting with different vendors. At the time, she met with Ambient too, who does the note taking, and so I had met her during that
That's
time. But yeah, she's
amazing.
phenomenal.
Side note, I use Ambient now because of because of you and Claude use that. Ambient's great. I use it on my G Suite. So when I'm doing coaching and mentoring, I record my
Yeah.
sessions and I love the simplicity of Ambient and how it appears. If I can use it, and Craig will probably agree, I can use it and feel like a pro. Anyone out there can use it for sure because it's
easy.
easy. The interface is excellent. I love that. And let's go back to EA Social Club because Craig and I have both been members of networks previously. Advisory boards, we're on those. We love networking. Craig is known as the king of networking, particularly in London, the networking king.
Very nice. Very
yeah.
nice.
You'll see him out everywhere. So no one ever stands alone when
Wow.
Craig's around. So I was absolutely thrilled to be able to host the EA Social Club first London meetup, and we went to
They were great.
Gaucho. We had an amazing out. You came
Yeah.
along, didn't you, Craig? We had private dining. It was absolutely amazing. The attendees not only knew Craig and I personally, they'd already heard of you, they followed you, they knew immediately the buy-in. It was beneficial. I love that. But how can we advise this this high Crodie question, this listener, sorry. How can we advise and promote the power of networking? I know what I want to say, but Becky, explain
Becky,
Yeah.
how
before you answer
valuable
that,
it
can I
is.
just say, you know what the most amazing part of that dinner that we had with Gaucho? You had pre-recorded something, and Jodie had to speak with her.
That
And
was
then
all
it was
Jodie's
just came in, and it was all the guests. We could hear your voice. Thank you for coming on. That was such an amazing. Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah. That was all
Thanks.
Jodie. And
I just wanted
that
in the room.
it was an amazing thought. Like, I mean, if I had the chance to go to every single one, I would, right? And so obviously like a long-term goal is that eventually I will be able to do a tour and I'll be able to like stop along the way, including London. But networking is the single most important thing you can do for your career.
Yeah.
I mean, essentially. And I've talked about it many times, but the reason that I am in my job currently is because I had met my executive 8
wow.
years prior. And it didn't work out at that time for me to work with her. But then when she got to Salesforce and she finally had, 401k and overtime and all those things to offer me, she immediately contacted me and then I went to work for her. So that would have happened regardless of my resume. That would have happened regardless of any situations I had been in during the last 8 years. This job was waiting for me. And, that would have never happened without networking. So the EA Social Club is really all about bringing EAs together, having that knowledge share, learning from one another, growing together, encouraging each other. So I'm trying to break down the silos of being at an office space where there's competition, there's, people trying to get each other's jobs, unhappy with each other, toxicity. I'm trying to remove all that, bring people into a neutral area where they can really just show up who they are, what they need, and relate to other people. I mean, it is amazing what magic happens when you're in the same room with somebody,
That want to be
you know.
there as
Yeah.
well. When you
That wants to
draw
be
the
there.
right
Yeah.
people together and separate that negativity, that's where the magic starts to happen.
Yeah.
And what I love about networks, specifically EA Social Club at the moment, because it's so fresh, everything goes on in that Slack
Yeah.
channel. I mean, it's so, let's circle this, see where I'm going with this one. Let's circle this one back. So I don't have the time. I need to get on. I'm going back to the listener question. I need to get on with my day job. It's going, the pace of evolution within the role is far too fast for me. I don't have the time. I'm too busy. How do I keep up? Well, just by engaging in a network like EA Social Club with like-minded people, very tech related, very on their game. Everyone's there because they truly want to learn and grow together. Just by engaging in the right circles, it took seconds for me to read a message from Becky or any of the other members actually on best practice or best platform for events, or what do you use? And I think it's there where I saw that you were harping on and singing the praises of Ambient. And it took me seconds to then look at Ambient, have a quick tour, go on YouTube, see how people are using it. It didn't cost me time or money in that respect. I learn in seconds from like-minded people. So how about that as an alternative to learning and development?
Yeah, I mean, so one of the things that I try to do, as far as me as a platform, is that I really try and put out the things that help me, the things that I find value in. So my whole platform is about, I've been doing this for 23 years, and it has not been easy by any stretch. I have really had to work hard to get to where I am today. So I went through a lot of failure along my way. And so I'm really just about feeding everybody else the information that they really need to make their journey better. So anytime I come across a program or an app or anything that I think will make a difference, like I always promote it, because that is knowledge sharing. So the more that people can lean in and be curious and find those that they really like to follow, then there's so much that you can learn just by listening to them, just by being aware of their platform and what they're talking
And also
about.
talking about the
Yeah.
networking that you're doing, I also think it's important for this high quality question, listeners' question, that networking internally. So a lot of the EAs know software that you don't know, or the platforms you don't explore. So it's not just
Oh, yeah.
externally all the time. Get to know the people internally in your company, and you can always go up and say, I don't know how to do this. I find it more easier if somebody is sitting in front of me and clicking with the mouse and going, this is how you do it. I learn it quicker than trying to read a document that's very pages. I find it really
Yeah.
difficult. I want somebody that I can just chat. So it's quite difficult if you are in a hybrid and working from home or not. I always wait until I get into the office so I can just talk for a minute and go, can you just help me with this? I don't understand how to do it. That's what's another.
Yeah. And I mean, so being able to use the EAs at your company as resources is like incredible. So at Salesforce, we have Slack channels developed to the EAs. And so if we're struggling, if we have a question, if we don't know a process, you literally just ask. And people are always willing to help. I mean, we are so busy that we don't have the toxicity in our workplace, and we very much are there to just help and learn and grow. And when you have that to lean on somebody and they can just tell you, like, do not be afraid to ask. Do not be afraid to say, I need help. You wasting your time trying to figure out something that somebody already knows and can just click you through it, like, utilize that. That is part of what makes you successful in your role. That is part of what helps you make sure that you can maintain your schedule, maintain your time as well. So it's leaning in and all the possibilities to help make your job successful.
That's so key. And so to wrap that up, I would also take elements of what you said and what Craig said and suggest that learning and development isn't a one singular course or a
Mhm.
destination retreat. Or, if you get a budget per year, you don't need to spend it all in one hit on one particular course, the perfect thing for you to learn because you want to progress in your career at minimal time and effort. Think think wide, think wide rather than, going too deep. Think about what's around you already. So that's where I'm going with, think wide, think all around you. There are other ways and means of learning and developing. Even a simple sign up to Google News. If you just type in what type of news feed you want, mine's all on AI and developing a career enhancement. So my feed on my Google News is solely that. And it comes up with Harvard Business Review, Forbes. It will bring me information. So decide what's important to you. I think you can prioritize these things by thinking outside of the typical box of it's a course, it's a conference, or it's a webinar. It's not just that. It can be talking to your EAs, building that community if you don't have one, joining a network if you don't have a community. There's an answer for everything, I think, for this
And it's
question.
not all about knowing everything. It's about staying curious, being adaptable, and willing to learn. And I think that's the important part of it.
100%. And I will say that, depending upon what company you're at, you do get a learning and development budget. I would say, that you along the year can look in or be aware of classes that maybe you want to take or that you want to own access to. And then before the end of the year is up, decide which ones you want to purchase. And hopefully, like Maggie Olson, I support Maggie Olson's course. It is amazing. And I feel like it is so great for EAs to take it, not to become chief of staff necessarily, but to just gain that knowledge and have that background. And you have access to it the rest of your life. So make investments in things that you can come back to when you do have the time, when you do have the bandwidth, and try streamlining as many processes as you can in the meantime to help give you back a little time, like weekly reminders. You don't need to remember that every week. If you need to remember something weekly, then set a reminder for yourself so that it will all be there. Just come up with little tricks that will help get you to those places and ask other EAs what they do. And EAs within your own company, what do they do to stay on top of everything?
That's such good advice. And it's the basic advice that's the best, in my opinion. If you don't have an
Yeah.
internal network to lean on, create one. If there's only one or two of you, still create one and then join a bigger one. Ask questions. Don't be afraid to speak up. There's no such thing as a silly question. We have that reputation of being very singular and siloed because in the past, we've just been getting our work done and sticking our head down, and that's it. But we are humans. We do need to communicate, and eventually, everyone's going to have a thirst for knowledge or a desire to share knowledge. So it's understanding which one are you eventually going to fall into, and how are you going to, navigate your thirst for knowledge and pick and choose what you need. Like you said, being very strategic with what content you consume with the courses. Is it available for for lifetime access? Is it only available for 30 days after the course? Is it not available at all after the course? In which case, for me, that would add a layer of complexity to, I need to make sure this is recorded. My note-taking needs to be on top form because maybe they don't allow a virtual assistant to enter, the web link.
Yeah.
There's so much
Yeah.
more going on around these subjects, but I do hope that our listener is happy with our advice. I'm sure they are, because it's very multi-layered, very unbiased, and I think we've got some great value bombs in there.
Yeah, and also, just respond to our posts on
Yeah.
LinkedIn. Let us know on LinkedIn that you have questions. I mean, we can also bring in the community to help answer questions,
Absolutely.
So just reach out to people and use them also to find out the information that you need.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like us, you're not afraid of using your professional voice now to shout
Right.
about our profession. If you are a bit shy or feeling, oh gosh, I'm not there yet, that is sound advice. Just drop us a DM. We are all of us, more than happy to get this answered for you, come back with recommendations, people to follow. But change is good. We need to adapt, and change is happening.
Especially
Happening.
now, we need to
Yeah.
adapt.
Absolutely.
I mean, this right now with AI, we have hit a whole another level. And so now is the time to make sure that you are adapting during this change so that you
Mhm.
do not get too deep and get left behind.
And that will be harder to come back from, absolutely.
Yeah.
And building your personal brand and speaking up and being vocal, if not to everyone, but to yourself. Have honest conversations and be vocal with yourself to say, actually, I don't need that. Actually, I do need this, and these are the reasons why. And here I'm going to communicate effectively to the right person to get what I
Yeah.
need. I've got one last
Yeah.
question for Becky.
Oh boy. Okay, let's have it.
What's the one thing that you know now that you didn't know back when you started your career that you want all aspiring EAs to know?
Oh. Well, probably for me, it was that I didn't know my worth.
Hmm.
When I first started working, I was making $30,000. Now, the UK and the US are different. So, I mean, there is that. But this was back in 2008. Or no, sorry. This was back when I first started. So that would have been 2004, 2005. And probably if I would have understood the EA role, I would have understood that I was becoming an EA. I didn't understand that yet either. I always thought that there had to be something else, that
Mm.
EA wasn't a role, that there had to be something else. I probably would have just like realized that I'm worth more. I should have like looked into it more. I should have really embraced the community more than I did now. It
Okay.
was a different era, but I mean, really just knowing your worth, you know, keeping track of like what the pay scale is, where, to make sure that you're not taken advantage of. And then just, really doing what is best for yourself. This can be a really, really, really hard job. And I've had less great bosses than I have had great bosses.
Well,
And it can be very confusing, and you can feel like you don't live up to the expectations. Like, this is all on you. Like, I'm not good enough. I can't achieve. Everything I do is wrong. I'm never going to find an executive who appreciates me. These are all lies. And just, be diligent about who you are, what you want, and don't be
yeah.
afraid to go after it. If something is not working out, pivot, go for something else. We are the CEOs of our own life, and it's our responsibility to make sure that we are living the life that matches our
Amen.
expectations.
Wow.
That's it.
Amen to that. Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so much.
Well, I think that's brought the episode to a poignant close. We're not going to add anything more to that. Just drop the mic there, Becky. Thank you so much. And
Thank you. It
Thank
was so
you.
much fun.
yeah, we really appreciate your input.